What's up, YouTube? It's Emmett here, and I just got back from vacation where I picked up a shitload of retro video games at one single store. It's also been a while since I've done a pickups video, so I've picked up some other things since my last one in February, and so I wanted to kind of combine, well, two things really. The pickups that I've gotten recently, and I also was recently tagged in my friend Wes's collection goals video, so I'm going to kind of combine both of those into one big video, and I've got games and pickups just kind of spread out all around me, so prepare for a lot of jump edits and shit like that, but first we're going to roll the intro, and then I'll be back with the pickups. Alright, so, like I said, I was on vacation all this whole last week, and there is a single retro video game store in St. George, Utah, that usually has some good stuff. Last time I was there, I think 2 or 3 years ago, they had some Super Famicom games that I picked up, and I picked up Super Castlevania 4 and Super Metroid, which were my first, those are my first Super Famicom games that I ever bought. So I decided I'm going to go in there, I'm going to see what he's got. I don't know if he still has a lot of the Japanese imports, but lo and behold, he did. So here's what I got. We'll start right here with this one. This is Final Fight on the Super Famicom. I think I've got the US version of this, but now I own the Japanese version, so tits to me. Up next, we have Super Valis 4. This is not one of the best games ever, I've heard. Based on what I've seen online, it looks like a decent game. I've seen some reviews of it. It doesn't look terrible, so I'm going to give this one a go. And I know the cover art's really cool, so I'm going to give it a go just because I'm kind of a sucker for these types of games. It's kind of a platformer game. Looks cool. Here we go. Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Now this is cool. I don't think I have the US version of this one. I know I've got the US version of the one that's on the PSP, but I don't think I have Super Ghouls and Ghosts on the Super Nintendo. So now I've got the Famicom version, so that's pretty fucking sweet. Lagoon. This one was dirt cheap. It's not in the greatest shape. You can see it's got some stuff that I could probably clean off with just some warm water or some rubbing alcohol and a cloth. So other than that, it's got a little bit of yellowing on it, but it's not terrible. Could be worse. This is a pretty decent game. I'm a fan of the East series, and this reminds me a lot of the East games, so I'm going to give it a go. It doesn't have exactly great reviews, and a lot of people say that the hit detection's off, but they said the same thing about East, and I love East, so let's do it. Here we go. Complete in box. This is the only complete in box. Tiny Toon Adventures. So it's beat up. I mean, you can see this box is beat to hell. It's got creases everywhere, and it's in pretty rough shape. But it does have the original artwork on, and I do like original artwork. Everything on the back, of course, is written in Japanese. You can't really understand it unless you read Japanese, which I don't. But the game itself is in really good condition. It's got a little bit of yellowing on the back, like someone wrote on it with a crayon. I don't know what the hell it is. It might just be yellowing. I don't know. I'll try to clean it off. If not a big deal. What I like, though, is the fact this is a Konami title, and I think Brazzle the Gamer, I don't know who reviewed this within the last 6 months. Excuse me, I seem to have picked up a hiccup. But this looks like a fun game, so I'm glad I scored it. From the same shop. Now I have the English version of this, but he had the owner's manual to Ys 3, Wanderers from Ys, for the Super Famicom. And since I was buying all these games, he threw this one in for free for me. And it's awesome. It's got, it's the owner's manual, so it's got everything in Japanese. It's got the characters. I guess that's kind of like a prologue or the history of the game, what's going on. Kind of an overworld map here. Tells you, about the game. Your typical owner's manual, but it's a Japanese version, so that's pretty freaking sweet. Okay, now this I didn't pick up in St. George. This is something I picked up maybe a week or two ago. It is the Retron 5 3-in-1 adapter. It allows you to play Game Gear, Master System, and Master System card. I don't know what the Master System card is off the top of my head. I'm not really that familiar with Sega, to be honest, just because I was a Nintendo kid growing up. But I picked this up because it was it was at my local shop, and he gave me a good deal on it. So I can now play those games. And when I was down there, I actually picked up Lion King, Aladdin, and The Jungle Book for the Game Gear, so I can play these. I've heard the Disney games are pretty good on the Game Gear, so that's why I stuck with these three. They, of course, had a shitload of sports titles, and there had to have been about 500 copies of Sonic 2, but I passed on those and just took these three Disney games. I think this is the same version that you have on the Genesis, but I'm not 100% sure, and I think this is also the same one, but they're slightly watered down, obviously, for the handheld. And I know nothing about the Jungle Book, but I'm willing to give it a go since I think this was $2 or $3, so that's pretty sweet. All right, what do we have next? Oh, and when I bought the adapter, I also bought Streets of Rage, so that's kind of cool. I have Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3 on the Genesis already, but now I've got this version, so why the hell not? So I guess there's collection goal number one is to maybe start building up a library of original Sega Master System and Game Gear games. I want to find Ghostbusters on the Sega Master System, just because that game is pretty cool, and I want to give that one a go. I don't know where to put these down, because I've got, like I said, I've got stuff spread all over the place of things I've picked up recently, so I've kind of find places to put this stuff without stuff falling over and making a ruckus. He also threw in, since I bought those three games and all those other things, he gave me 3 of the carrying cases for the Game Gear, so that's pretty sweet. And Streets of Rage came with its own one separately. I just took them out so that I could show them to you. And last but not least, this was the final thing I picked up from that store in St. George, and that is Tetris. Everybody loves Tetris. I now own the Famicom version of Tetris, so that's pretty friggin' sweet. Alright, so that's everything that I picked up in St. George. I'm going to move on to stuff that I picked up before my trip, that I've picked up between February, which was my last pickups video, and when I went on my vacation. Okay, if you remember my last pickups video, I showed you that watermelon N64 that we picked up. Well, we took it into the shop and had it unlocked, so now we'll play Japanese N64 games, and we have Mario Party 3. Because all you need to know with Mario Party games is just hit A. That's all you need to do with most Mario Party Mario Party games is just hit the A button. So I got that one. I should have Mario Party 2 in Japanese on the way, but there's been a mix-up with the seller, and I'm kind of working through some of the details with him right now. I also recently picked up this game. Da-da-da. Some of you may recognize this. Others of you are going to look at this and go, what the hell is that? This is Paulful Mail. It's a Falcom title, which is the same group that does the East games, as well as a bunch of others. I bought this off eBay from a seller in Colombia. Japanese game from Colombia. So there you go. That's a pretty cool game. I'm really looking forward to playing this. I've played a little bit of it via emulation. Unfortunately, there's not an English patch available for this game, so it's entirely in Japanese. So it's a bit confusing, but it's a lot of fun. Local shop pickups. I got Chrono Trigger because it was $11. So cool. I also picked up complete in-the-box copies of F-Zero and Area 58. I can't remember what the US version of Area 58 is called off the top of my head, but I own this one. These are both, they have the owner's manuals inside, and they are in decent shape on the exterior. The boxes seem to be in really good shape, so I'm happy about that. One more thing that I picked up here recently, and I know this is a repro cartridge, but I picked up Magical Poppin'. This came with a nice hard plastic case with artwork that looks really nice, and I think I got this on Etsy, or maybe I bought it on eBay, I can't remember. And then of course it comes with the repro cartridge inside, which looks real nice. Has some information on the seller on the back. I'm not going to display that just because you can find repros online. They're not hard. This game normally goes for, I think, well over $300 or $400 if you find the original version of this game, which I think it was only available in Japan. I'm not sure, but this game's a lot of fun. And I actually took it up to my parents' house one night after Sunday dinner and played through, I would say, probably 80 to 90% of it. Unfortunately, there's not a password save system that I remember, but it does have unlimited continues. And so I've been through about, like I said, 80 to 90% of this game, and it is just an absolute delight. So if you get a chance to pick up Magical Poppin', do it. And finally, one of my co-workers went to Japan for 2 or 3 weeks, and he asked me before he left, he goes, I know you're into retro video games and stuff like that, so I'm going to be going to the Akihabara. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I'm going to be going to that area which has a lot of anime and video game stuff, so if I see something and you want me to pick it up and it's cheap, let me know. And I said, yeah, any of the Ys games. And he found Ys 4 on the Super Famicom, and I think this game was like $7 US. So he snagged it for me, and so now I own, let's see, Ys 3, 4, and 5. Those are all on the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom. So now all I need is Ys 1 and 2. So I guess this ties into my collection goals, which is to collect as many of the Ys games as I can. I don't care if they're on multiple systems, because I know they were available on the Famicom, the Super Famicom. They were available on the TurboGrafx CD, and they're also available on the PSP. So I kind of want to start collecting those for multiple consoles, just because I think the games themselves are a hell of a lot of fun. As you can see sitting here beside me, I've mentioned this on my Twitter. I've got my Game Boy game sitting in what is sold as a fingernail polish rack, and it's got, I think, 5 or 6 different shelves. I'll throw up a close-up picture of it so you guys can see it. But as you can see, it holds all of the Game Boy and Game Boy Color games very nicely. So if you are in the market for something to hold and display your Game Boy games, I recommend going on to Amazon and ordering a fingernail polish display rack. They are acrylic, and they're not cheap, but they're not super duper expensive. I think mine for the 6 rows was about $25 US. You may be able to find other ones. There's a whole variety of different ones available, but I picked mine up for a good price. So if you need something to hold and display your Game Boy Color games, there you go. They will hold your Game Boy Advance games, but you have to have the plastic, kind of like the same thing with the Game Gear cases. They'll fit a little bit better, but I highly recommend just primarily using it to display your Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. So, all right, that's it. That's all I got. So I hope you guys all had a great Easter, and summer's right around the corner. I am continuing to stream Ys 5 over on my Twitch channel. After that, I'm going to be streaming, what's next on my list? I think Seiken Densetsu 3. So be sure to tune in to my Twitch channel and hang out. Come chat, hang out, whatever. I stream every morning between 7 a.m. and about 8 a.m. Mountain Time, so do the math. And I'll see you guys next time for whatever, pickups or response videos, whatever. Oh, I guess I need to tag some people. Let's see. Who am I going to tag? I'm going to tag my friend Adam from Replayability, if he hasn't already been tagged. And I am also going to tag JD McFly of The True and Honest. So Adam and JD, you've got your work cut out for you. Oh, I'm also going to go ahead and just throw in the other Retroholics podcast member, Lumpz The Clown. So we've got JD, Adam, and Lumpz. I would love to see your collection goals, so get on it. And I will see you guys some other time. Have a good one.